Many of us were born here in America, but what about those who have ancestors who came here in unforeseen ways? Although slavery has been abolished for over 200 years, there was one point where slavery was legal in America. Today I will explain to you what the Emancipation is, who wrote the document, and its significance in American history. Let me begin by explaining to you what is the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation is a legal document that was signed by our 16th president on January 1st, 1863. It freed the slaves in the rebelling states that were rebelling against the Union during that era. It stated that those slaves should now, thenceforth, and forever be free. During this time, the Civil War was going on in America, and America was split in two. There was the rebelling southern states that formed their own government known as the Confederate States of America. And then there were the 24 loyal states who stayed a part of the Union. Those were the northern part of America. According to Marianne McComb, in the Emancipation Proclamation published in 2006, the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect 100 days after Abraham Lincoln read it to our nation for the very first time. Many people confuse what the Emancipation Proclamation did, including myself, before I wrote this speech. They think that slavery ended from this document, but it was not until the signing of the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery in the entire United States, and then Congress passed this amendment before the Civil War was over. Next, let me clarify what influence the Emancipation Proclamation had on the ending of slavery. It was the first stepping stone towards the ending of slavery in America. The Emancipation Proclamation was the first legal document that ended slavery in certain areas in the United States. Before then, according to David and Patricia Amtrout in the Emancipation Proclamation, published in 2005, slave trade begun in 1619 when trade ships brought Africans into Jamestown. Although there were many steps to follow in the ending of slavery, the Emancipation Proclamation was the first step towards the ending of slavery. In December of 1865, it became law that slavery was illegal in the entire United States. Unfortunately, our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, died before this law was passed. Even though slaves were now declared free, they still did not have equality. 3 years later, the 14th Amendment passed, which guaranteed to all citizens, regardless of the color of their skin, they were entitled to equal rights as U.S. citizens. As written by Marianne McComb in 2005, it was published in 2005, the Emancipation Proclamation. Many people believed slavery was wrong, but there was others who seen nothing wrong with owning slaves. Long before becoming president, Abraham Lincoln was against slavery. Many of my peers agreed with Abraham Lincoln that slavery was wrong. 95% of my fellow classmates believe slavery is wrong, even though only 20% of them are African American. 80% of my fellow peers feel racism will never be abolished, even though slavery has been abolished many years ago. To conclude, the Emancipation Proclamation was the beginning to the end of slavery. Let us review this just one more time. The Emancipation Proclamation is a legal document that ended slavery in the rebelling states only. The Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery in the states that were still a part of the Union. It was not until the passing of the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery in the entire United States of America and all of its territories. Of course, eventually slavery would have been abolished. But if it was not for our President Abraham Lincoln taking that bold move in writing the Emancipation Proclamation in one of the hardest times of America, no one knows when slavery would have eventually been abolished. It could have been years later before slavery would have ended in America.